I remember even back when I was a new artist, I saw you doing marketing services, and I've heard from a ton of my students about the success they've had with your marketing services.
All right, we are live here on the PMU Marketer Podcast, and I have a very special guest today. I'm really excited about this guest because I've been, this is Amanda Breuer. Most of you know her, and I've been following her for a while. I've had a lot of respect for you, Amanda, and seen what you've been doing big things. And so definitely excited to have you on the podcast. If you want to give a quick intro of yourself, just for those of you who may not know that much about you.
Oh yeah, well, hi guys, and thanks for having me on, Jake. Right back at you. I remember even back when I was a new artist, I saw you doing marketing services, and I've heard from a ton of my students about the success they've had with your marketing services. So it's fun to collaborate on something and have some good conversations about growing business. But my name's Amanda Breuer. I'm a permanent makeup artist and trainer with locations in the Seattle market and Scottsdale, Arizona. I train around the country live, and we have online courses available for microblading, powder ombre, and removal. We have an amazing team of staff members, and we've grown an incredible business over the years. So it's always fun to come on and talk about the exciting things and then the things that really suck as we build our business in those growing pains. So we're excited to share some topics with you guys.
Yeah, and this is to be honest, guys, this is completely unscripted. I don't have any notes. We're just gonna, I haven't given her any questions. We're just gonna chat because, me and her are both at a point where I think we have a lot to share. And like she said, it's not all about the ups. There's downs, all the way up. So we'd love to share it and be real with you guys. Let's talk finances. Well, I titled this 7-figure mindset, and so I wanted to address that real quick. I hate the term 7-figure, how much it gets thrown around in this industry, but one, I knew it would capture a lot of attention because it always does, and I think we're about to share a lot of value, and so that's good. And two, I've learned that the things, just not only from myself, but watching people like you and, others, it's a different level of thinking, when what it takes to get to 6 figures and even, mid 6 figures, which a lot of you watching are probably might not even be at that point yet. You got to do different things to get to 7 figures. And even if you're not to that point or not ready to get to that point, we want to share with you, we want to challenge you, one, to think bigger, and two, share with you some of the things that you can start to grow into. Does that make sense, Amanda?
Yeah, and I think that it's just, I think it's good to just come on and say that it's always going to be scary, and you're always going to feel like you're out of your comfort zone and that you're stretching yourselves and you're questioning yourself. That I was talking to someone last night that needed a little encouragement. And it's funny because as a new artist or as an experienced business owner with dozens of staff members, that feeling never goes away. You almost have to embrace it, don't you?
And the crazy thing is, if the feeling does go away, we probably get bored. If you're a high level or not, I won't say high level, but if you're an ambitious entrepreneur like we are, you always want to have that feeling, because if you don't, it means you're not challenging yourself enough.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just fun. I've always told, my husband and I joke about it all the time. I just want to know what I'm capable of. And so that's a consistent pursuit of improvement and growth. And it's such a healthy mindset, and both in your life and your relationships, just to constantly be working on growing yourself. I think it's always a really good place to be, because you're always checking yourself and growing in areas where maybe outside of owning a company, maybe you wouldn't have grown in those areas. So it's a really fun thing if you embrace it right.
Yeah, and I don't know, you can let me know if you agree with me on this or not, but I know for a lot of people, whether you talk about 6 figures or 7 figures or 8 figures or whatever the goal may be for people, like having a new car or a new house, for me, it's more of, growth. That's what really makes me happy. Even if I had, $100 million right now, I would still want to say, okay, how can I get to $1 billion? You know what I mean? It's always about growth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that all of us are wired so differently. like, I know there's this test, what is it called? It's called the Strength Finder test. I know John Maxwell talks about it a lot. And I figured out that that the two biggest things that are important to me, I guess, are number one is I'm very futuristic. And that's probably why I'm so investment oriented. And then number two is I'm very achievement oriented. So it's that constant pursuit of achievement. And there's probably about 15 to 20 different strengths that tie into that. So I think it's really important to get to know yourself and figure out how you're wired, what's going to motivate you to pursue more, or maybe you're not in the pursuit and you're happy based on the strengths that you find. But I found a lot through that. And I think the more you know yourself, the more you're going to be able to help yourself to grow.
Yeah, and I know me and you are both married, and so I think having that conversation with your spouse and, knowing each other's strengths and, desires and things like that definitely helps, because, one person might want to rule the world, the other person might be happy, just having a great family, which is nothing wrong with either one. It's just as long as you know each other's ambitions, you can really, support and understand them.
Yeah, and I think so many of my friends think that we're very extreme, which we probably are at this phase of our life, where we're in the growth phase of things. When your family's like, what are you doing? Like, what? You're so crazy. You're not taking vacations. I'm like, you don't understand. But for us, just to paint you a picture, we live off of very little. We invest everything. We double down on all of our on our companies, on our investment strategies, and with the intent that we don't want to do that forever. That we understand that the earlier you start investing into retirement or other assets, that you can stop having to do that sooner. So for my husband and I, that's a very big pull at our hearts. We want to be able to travel down the road, spend more time with our kids, not be so bogged down with work until we're 65. And it took a little more extreme game plan to make that happen. But we ran the numbers and broke it backwards. And that's our life. So it's a temporary cyclical nature where we're just like investing a ton right now into growth.
Yeah, and I think that's something we should talk about today, because I know in this industry, a lot of focus is made we all focus on making more money and stuff like that. But then, what do you do with that money? How do you keep it from, taxes and the government in a legal way? Like, how do you, invest that money so it grows, so that you're not always relying on, your main source of income your whole life? So I guess we can dive into that now. So what are your favorite investments?
Well, I think that I have a million favorite investments. I'm psychotic, Jake. Like, I set aside an hour a day, every day of my life, studying investing strategies. So it's, it's like when you read once a day, or say you watch a movie or a TV show. That's my TV show, is studying investing. It's total nerd. But I think that it's important. I want to make this for the basic investor too. It's important to make sure that you are maximizing your tax deferred investment strategies. If that's like a Roth IRA, if that's a 401k, if you have an employer that contributes to that, if it's a health savings account, all of the investment strategies that will save you taxes at retirement age, if it's tax deferred, tax-free growth, or tax deduction when you contribute, those are the things I would be prioritizing as an early investor. So I just want to emphasize that. Outside of that, I'm obsessed with real estate. I'm obsessed with crypto, stocks, you name it. So like, name it, I love it, probably. But I think it's important to talk about, it's very hard for people to maximize all those tax deferred accounts, because if I were to break it down, and these numbers, Jake, like an IRA, if you're a married couple, you can contribute $1,000 a month, so $12,000 a year, to an IRA account. Let's say, for example, you could maximize like $10,000, $20,000 into your 401k a year. Let's say you do $7,000, $8,000 in your HSA. That's almost $30,000 a year going into tax deferred accounts. So before talking about all the other things, maximizing those are a really big deal. So it's not about going out and doing all those big things. It's about maximizing what's there. And I'd recommend, if you're listening to this too, a smart decision I made when I was a teenager and I started investing is automatically investing into those IRAs or 401ks or HSAs. So I never even see it. So let's say that you have a paycheck or a salary, or you get a paycheck every week or biweekly. I have it so that it automatically transfers into my investment accounts before I touch it. That way I'm paying myself first or paying my future self first. Otherwise, you will spend first and you won't invest. So it's a forced way of budgeting, and it's been a really healthy way for us to invest a lot over the years.
So you mentioned you have employees. Do you do like a 401k program for them?
You can. I think every employer, it's important to have a conversation with your staff to see what they value the most. Some staff may value more of a bonus. Maybe they're on their husband's health insurance, or they have 401k there. Maybe they just want other benefits too. So there's many benefits you can offer as a business owner. For me, I would love to do what's called a self-employed 401k, where I can contribute to my own, but you have to offer the same match to all of your staff too, which can add up a lot. So it doesn't make sense for me to do that. But that's definitely an option. And maybe if you only have like 1 or 2 staff members, that might be a good fit. But the cost of running a program like that can be a little spendy too. So I more like to veer towards, and I have a conversation with my staff all the time about what they value the most and what benefits I can provide to them to make them happy. And sometimes that's different per individual or per state regulations, since we're in multiple states.
Yeah, and speaking of that, regulations, as a disclaimer, this is not financial advice. We're not telling you exactly what to do. Always consult with the professionals on that. We're just giving you our personal experiences and opinions of what we do.
Yeah, opinion and just what we've done on our own, right?
Okay.
And it's funny because you and I have both probably studied people that have created success and wealth in a million different ways. So there's really not just one way to do it, but there is a general path that you can take to guarantee a solid retirement. And I think that's what a lot of people in today's day and age aren't thinking about. You see the rise in price of commodities or housing go up. Everything's becoming more expensive. How are you supposed to get ahead? It's investing. It's setting aside money, not in a savings account, but for retirement age.
Yeah, and this is going to be totally left field / rabbit hole, but I was reading Tony Robbins' new book that just came out today called Life Force, and it's about health and all this stuff that's coming out, and he was talking about how like the new life expectancy could be 100 years easily. Living like 100 could be the new 80. Just because they're coming out with so many new things that can get rid of cancer, or they even have these virtual 3D printers that will like print out kidneys or organs for people, which is crazy. And so
that's nuts.
The reason I thought of that is because you mentioned retirement. Like for me, I might not retire until I'm 100 years old.
Yeah, you might not be. We're going to kick the can down the road when we're old. We're just going to be hanging in there. And once we're older and we're more limited, as you know, it's more expensive because we probably need help. We probably need special housing. And that's probably going to be a in-demand sector of business in the future that maybe we should look into, right? Supply and demand.
Yeah, so when you think about lifetime value of a client, it might be 60 years worth of brows they get.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That is so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think the mindset overall of moving forward and retiring at a good age, and is just being a good steward of your finances and knowing what to do with them, starting now. Not waiting another year, not waiting another 5 to 10 years. I think if we put on a chart how much it would cost you to wait to start investing, it'd probably make you throw up, because sometimes we just need to see it on a dollar chart to see how much we actually need to retire and how much it's actually going to take. But the sooner you start, the more it compounds, and the happier you'll be when you're old, when you're 100 years old.
So you piqued my interest when you said crypto. What's your favorite cryptos?
Oh, I'm in a lot of, I probably have 18 different, I have metaverse land, I have coins, I have everything. So I don't know. I love Ethereum. I was an early Solana adopter. Mm-hmm. I love Chainlink, XRP, Cardano. I'm really into Avalanche, Filecoin. What are some other things right now? A bunch of stuff. And I've got Sandbox, and I've got Decentraland land. I'm such a super nerd.
So I'm sure you've lost a
It's
lot of money
crazy.
over the past 6 months.
Well, no, I bought it at a really good time, and then I bought when it crashed. So
Okay.
I really kind of watch,
Yeah.
and I stake a lot of things too. So when you stake your crypto, you can get like, that's been a really cool thing too. So I'm learning about these different levels and ways that you can invest, and it's always changing. So, and it's hard to keep up with, which keeps it really fun.
Yeah, for sure. I get so bored with the
How about
stock
you?
market. Yeah, so I'm a really bad investor when it comes to crypto because like I've seen my portfolio go up like crazy amounts and then I've seen it crash. I'm on the tail of a crash right now, but I tend to be a high risk person, so like I like to go all in on something that I think is going to blow up. And if I lose my money, so be it. If I get rich, that'd be even better. But yeah, right now I put my money into something, it blew up, and then I didn't sell, and now it's back down. But I'm still holding, and I'm going to keep buying more. I just bought more last week.
Totally. And we're at an age where we can do that too. Isn't that crazy? Where we can be aggressive with that stuff. We got
Yeah.
a lot of time on our side.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like a lot of people are so scared to make a decision, whether it's investing in crypto or investing in marketing or investing in whatever. For me, it's about self-love. I know that I'm a high-risk person, but because of my personality, I got to where I am today, so I can forgive myself. I'm not going to hold it against myself or be mad at myself. Easier said than done, but
Well, and think about how much you learn in that process too.
yeah, exactly.
That's how my husband and I felt when we went into real estate and real estate investing is you're really scared buying your first property as a rental until you go through that process and deal with renovating and renting and management, all of that. You really don't know what you're capable of. And once we went through that, and learned with each deal, it got more and more fun. So you just have to get started to figure it out and obviously be smart about it and do your research. We certainly did our due diligence and our research first, but a lot of people get analysis paralysis and they'll start analyzing and they're so overwhelmed with the analysis, they never take action. And so yeah, I think that's one thing is, and like you said, being bold is what creates most success in life. So you just got to go and learn a little bit.
And I mean, I know this is said too often, but we learn more from our mistakes than we learn from our successes.
Well, and I think I learned a lot from other people's mistakes too. I built strategic relationships in my life where maybe they had bought 100 deals with real estate, or they were really into crypto, and I could kind of learn from their experience and mistakes that they had made, good decisions they made, so I could learn a little faster too. That way I'm not just starting on my own. I always value mentorship so much in my life.
And I'm curious, for the people watching right now, what is your main investment? Or like, if you don't have any main investments, be honest and speak up. I'm sure you're not the only one. I would be curious.
Well, I think most people aren't investing much because everything's so expensive. We spend a lot of money on housing. If it's a car or a car payment, gas, I mean, it just sucks us dry. It's really expensive in this day and age, and it's getting more expensive. So, I mean, my cars, I wish I could turn my camera around. We drive, our Chevys are 2008. I got a Tahoe and a Silverado. They're 13, 14 years old, and we've driven the wheels off them. They're both about to hit like 200,000 miles. So we're going to keep driving them till they're done. And every bit of me wants a brand new car. I'm like, I work hard. I love cars. I really want a brand new Raptor, but I'm not going to do it right now.
Let me give you some financial advice. So I've got a Raptor, and it's pretty much 100% write-off because I only use it for business. And so I don't know if you've ever looked into that, but it's definitely, obviously I'm not an accountant, but I work closely with my accountant.
Yeah, there's times where there's tax years where it makes sense, and then there's years where it doesn't make sense. I just hate buying depreciating assets. It bugs me so bad. So you know how it is. But yeah, I love cars, and I think that's the thing I get hung up on the most. I'm like, man, I just want to go buy a new car. Maybe one day I will, but I'm kind of the lightly used, drive it for 10 years person.
Okay. Yeah, I find a balance because I see that you're very investment heavy, which is awesome. I've kind of I want to do some investments, but I also want to, enjoy my life and make sure I have some nice things, because when I get old, I don't care if I have a nice car or not, So I'm kind of I try to find a balance, there's no right or wrong answer. Like,
It's such a good thing. We are so extreme. Like, I am way too extreme with this stuff. And that's why honestly, if things go well, I won't be working much in the next few years. But not everybody has that same aspiration.
right.
You really have to break down how those numbers work for you. But we want to, like, my husband's family lives in Montana, and we just moved down to Arizona. So we want to spend summers in Montana, the rest of the year in Arizona, and it's going to take a virtual income and a good cash flow stream, good investment strategy. So we're prepping for it. That way we can have that life. But it's definitely different living in two places.
Yeah. And the good thing is, like, your studios, you have employees, and those will run without you. And, for those solo artists watching, I'd totally recommend, following Amanda, because this is, a great aspiration to have, because, you might love permanent makeup, you might love what you do, but, 10 years from now, let's say life happens and you want to move, or you want to be able to either, one, sell your business, or two, have it running, making money without you.
Yeah, 100%. And if you ever do aspire to sell your business is worth more when it doesn't depend on you as a brand.
Yep.
And I think that's probably the most common thing with beauty businesses is it's tied to you personally. So the more you can disconnect that from the value or the revenue that it generates, the more it'll be worth later too. So it's something you need to think ahead many years before you sell.
Yep. So let's talk about marketing a little bit. I got to throw in a little bit of marketing every time I have a podcast.
Yeah, marketing man.
So I know, I don't know if I'm not going to disclose specific numbers, but I know me and you talked, and you're welcome to share whatever you want, but I'm just kind of shooting off the hip here. A lot of people look at, a fee like mine, and I'm not here trying to sell myself. I just this really changed up my perspective as well. And that's why I'm sharing it. My fee is very, very small, but a lot of people think, well, oh, that's a lot to invest. And I'm not here to say whether it's a lot or not. It's all relative to your situation, your mindset. But when you told me that you had spent, 100x what I charge, I was like, wow, that's next level right there. And so it impressed me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I think that that what you do and offer, and I think a lot of your demographic of clients are, would you say this is true? It's probably, what percentage of your clients would you say are within their first 2 years of business?
I would say 50%.
50%. So that's a good amount of people that are entry level. They need to get clients in the door.
Yeah.
And they probably should do paid ads, because by getting those people in the door, providing great service, getting reviews and social proof and referrals, that's going to help compound their growth. So to have it at a good price point it's really important for them, because that's how they're going to start their initial foundation of their business. I know that was certainly true. I'd say my first 50 to 100 clients that came in the door resulted in all of the referrals that we have today. Mm-hmm. So having momentum, I know a lot of people are nervous to invest into marketing when they're new, because they look at their bottom line. They're like, I'm not making a profit. Yeah. But it takes momentum to generate those compound results. And a lot of people, if they, it's about delivering too, because as you know, paid ads will deliver a linear growth in your business. So it converts, they come in, and you have to keep doing paid ads. However, if you provide exceptional service, if you ask for reviews, if you get great before and after photos during that appointment, that is going to result in referrals, and it's going to result in more people booking with you online because they see that social proof there. And that's what is compound growth in your business. Yep. So if you're not experiencing compound growth, but you have paid ads coming in, it's probably time to increase the perceived value of your services and make sure you have that social proof and referrals that are generated, because that's how you're going to grow quickly.
Awesome. So let's jump into perceived value. How do you do that from your perspective?
I'll be permanent makeup specific because that's our company. We also do a lot of body sculpting and everything too, but a lot of it is when clients come in, doing a really professional consultation. I don't have clients come in and have them ask questions initially. I educate them, and I have probably 6 different topics that I hammer on, like how I'm going to find their shape, what color I suggest we use, the flow of the process, my disposable tools, how they're going to deal with aftercare. And I educate them very professionally. I probably also educate them a little bit too on the lack of training regulations in their state. I know specifically in Washington and Arizona, there's no training requirements for licensing. Arizona, you don't have to have a license at all. So I like to hammer on that and kind of almost as a scare tactic for their friends. I say, good job researching, and you need to help your friends do their research because of XYZ. And guess what? When their friend wants permanent makeup done, they're going to be telling them, you have to go to Amanda or our staff because they're top trained, they're board certified, all of that, right? So that's a source of referrals in itself. But the way that I approach that, it alleviates the fears or the frequently asked questions that typically people will ask. And the more questions that your clients ask when they come in, the more anxiety they're going to have prior to treatment. So if I can alleviate that by addressing it before they even try asking, it's going to build a lot of trust. So it's going to flow really well. Outside of that, making sure that you're not rushed, that you really connect with them during the treatment, even following up with them, just anything that you think would create a good experience. And even at the touch-up appointment. Same thing. And we always respond to calls and emails within 24 hours. We just do our best job to create the best service possible. So I think when you perform like that, and then you ask for reviews. I always wait for people to go through the full cycle of treatments before asking for a review. And I don't just say, hey, will you write us a review? What I like to do is say, hey, would you mind sharing about your experience? Because you know that people are going to be reading all of the reviews just like you did before they choose their artist. So it would mean a lot if you could share things that you think would help them to choose us as their artist. And when I frame it that way, I don't get like a 2-word review. I get a 3-paragraph review from our clients. And do you think that if you were going to book with someone and you saw all these 2-paragraph raving reviews, you'd probably be very compelled to look further into booking with them? So all of those things compounded are going to really help you grow your business from those first clients coming in the door and just making sure they have the best experience possible.
You just gave marketing 101 right there. So we're just going to cut the live and we're going to sell this as a course.
There you go. It's that simple, isn't it, Jake? Get people in the door. If you do paid ads, get them in the door, but then treat them like gold and get social proof, photos, and referrals.
And I want to pinpoint one thing you said because I love it. You were talking. Let's say that, like, I don't know, I'll just throw out a name. Let's say Sally comes in for her consultation or brows, and you really take the time to educate her and, talk about all the things you said about the, training requirements and lack of training in a lot of places and things like that. And then she goes off and she loves her brows and everything like that. Well, you just made Sally not necessarily an advertisement.
Walking advertisement.
Yeah, exactly. Because now when her friend says, oh, well, your brows look great, but this lady down the street does it for $200 less. Instead of price comparing, Sally's going to say, no, watch out for that because, there's lack of training and all these things that Amanda taught me. So you're basically overcoming objections and selling, at mass by doing that for each client.
Exactly. And like all of my students, I put my students through a 6-month curriculum because, as everyone on this call knows, you can't learn permanent makeup in a couple days. It's impossible to do well. You need a coach. You need somebody really helping you. And I think the confidence level that even I teach my students how to, in their consultation, maybe if you're listening to this and you're a brand new artist and you're just starting on models, it's important if you went through a good training course, of course, but my students, for example, share, I went through a 6-month curriculum. I actually became fully certified with one-on-one coaching from my trainer. She's overlooked everything. And that kind of conviction will help you be more confident in a consultation versus someone like I can say, I've done 5,000 treatments, that it comes across different. And you're not going to feel very confident those first few consultations. So talking about the quality of your training and what you went through with your education will help you to sit up straight and feel confident and really express that professionalism to those models.
Love it. So let's talk about videos a little bit because you said building trust, and I think videos are like one of the best ways to build trust. Now you're very well spoken, and I've seen you on video. You're awesome. Have you always been that awesome on video, or did you have to learn? I don't know. I'm just asking.
Oh, it really sucks. I did not like it, but I know, just like you said, that video converts. It's very engaging, and you can't edit a video. I don't know. And when you see emotion from people, it's great. So even if I thought it was cheesy, I would go into, say it was my first like 20 clients when I was brand new. I'd go in with the intention of getting some kind of video content with them, if they were comfortable. If it was like a reveal video of them looking in the mirror and crying because they love their eyebrows, or maybe they loved it. I'm like, oh my gosh, let me get you a video clip. Tell me how you feel right now. What are you feeling right now? And I guess my encouragement to you, if you're new to this and you're not comfortable on camera, just don't be on camera for a little bit. Have your client be on camera if they're comfortable. Turn the camera around. But my suggestion for you when you're doing that is, if you're recording your client, don't just say, hey, like, what's going on over here? Actually guide them and ask them strategic questions that are open-ended questions. I wouldn't ask like, do you like your eyebrows? They're just going to say, yes, I love them. I'm going to say, what do you like about the process today? What is it that you love about having eyebrows right now? And get them to really open up. Because if it's an open-ended question and they start talking and rambling, they're not going to be nervous to be on camera. They're going to be very authentic. And you could take a 10-second clip from that and put that into a nice marketing ad.
Love it. So I guess I'm kind of being selfish because I want to extract a lot of information from you because you're, very smart. So when you're, on a sales call or you're training your team to be on sales calls, what are some of like the benefits and the value that you want to portray, like when it comes like to permanent makeup, like when you're talking to a lead?
I would say that when it comes to prospective clients that want to book permanent makeup, they want to know that you all are going to laugh at this because we know this is a bunch of BS, but they want to know it's going to be natural. And it's funny because natural means absolutely nothing to me because everyone's version of natural is so different. But literally the first thing I say when I talk to a client lead is I say, I just want you to know we specialize specifically in natural healed results. So I hope that that's what you're going for. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I want. I'm like, I know. So, but it puts them at ease because their fear is that it's going to be too bold and that they're going to have like a crazy color or shape. And so that's something like literally I get on the call. I'm like, okay, before we talk, it's going to be natural. We specialize in natural. You cool with that? And then we talk about the process that we put them through. I talk about how we find the shape. I just alleviate the frequently asked questions because again, educating builds trust. And that's something that our staff communicates on those sales calls. And it converts very well. They don't even need a consultation with the artist to feel comfortable booking with us.
Awesome. Love it. I'm going to make all my clients watch that because I like that piece of advice. Really good.
It's just so funny because it makes me laugh. I'm like, natural, what does that even mean? But and then they come back at their touch-up wanting more, right, you guys? So cracks me up. But it works. And I think we can all relate and understand why they feel that way because they've probably seen a lot of crazy bold brows out there.
Awesome. So I know this was titled 7-Figure Mindset. So let's talk about mindset a little bit. What are some of the differences between, maybe your first year and maybe some of the fears or limiting beliefs or thoughts you had versus, who you are today?
I would say my first year, I was not a good artist. I'm not a natural artist. I don't have any natural artistic ability at all. I was bad. And it was, I'm surprised I made it through that first year. I was great with sales and marketing and continued to really practice and work on improving my work. And then got it. I always joke I get the Best Improved Award with permanent makeup because I started from the worst. But I think that the thing that fixes everything, if it's fear, if it's resistance, is just action. And I know you're going to hear that. You're going to read it in every book and you're just going to go, shut up. Like, I don't want to hear it. I know I just need to do it. But I'm here to tell you as a friend that that's the only thing that's going to do it. It's taking consistent action and doing it when you don't feel like it, because our emotions are very powerful and you can talk yourself in and out of things. So I was just very careful and protective of how I talked about things, how I talked to myself, my thoughts, managing my thoughts, and just making sure I didn't talk myself out of the permanent makeup business. Like I do even some weeks this year, I've been like, oh my gosh, can I really keep going with how busy things are? And I was like, wow, I've really lost discipline with my thoughts and my emotions here. I got to rein it in a little bit. Take action, consistent action, don't expect results right away. It's going to compound. It's going to be like a snowball effect, and it's just going to build like you can't imagine. It's been a big blessing in our life, and I see it in so many, in hundreds of students. I've seen, I think the big difference with my students that make six figures their first year is they got through their training with momentum, and they got through their first 5 to 10 models with the momentum, and they figured out a way to generate a quick amount of like 10 to 20 models or clients that were paying, so they could get through the motions and get confident. If that was through paid ads, if that was through organic methods with referrals, I've heard of a lot of people getting good models through Facebook groups. If it's like local mom groups or anything, you need to have momentum and just put a list together, get them booked as models, because otherwise you're going to be a scaredy pants and you're not going to do it. And I really believe in what they call the law of diminishing intent, which means the longer you wait to start something, the less likely you are to ever execute on it. So don't you think that the longer you wait to build that momentum in your business, do you really think you're just going to change your mind one day and get going? It's possible, but it's less likely. So always set yourself up for success, because we have such a human nature. We like to kick the can down the road, myself included. But I think momentum and consistent action is what's really going to make the difference. And again, my students that make six figures and multiple six figures their first year, that's all I see. It's like a pattern.
100%. And you said momentum probably 7 or 8 times, and I love it because to me, momentum is like the most powerful force of nature. And a lot of people think they have to make the perfect decision or the perfect investment, or say the right one thing and then just mic drop. Well, that's not how life works. If you improve 1% every day, then for the next 365 days, then in 1 year you have grown 37% or 37 times better. So, and that's only 1% per day. So it's all about momentum and compound, interest, like you've been mentioning. Wow, some great topics here. Like you're speaking my language.
It's fun. Well, and I think that growth and success is the same language. And I think that, especially in your first couple of years of business and even afterwards, I think I read it in a book somewhere. I wish I could quote it. I just don't remember where I heard it from, but I'm a very aggressively patient. So I work very hard and I'm patient with the results because I understand that it takes time to build that foundation. And there's so many intangible benefits, even to doing this live right now. I mean, you and I, we have very busy schedules. It's like life is going, you got a baby at home, a ton going on. And we know that by adding value to our audience, by putting effort into certain categories of our business, that it's not this live that's going to build our business. It's a compilation of all of the aggressive effort that we're putting into our brand and our companies. So I think that having that perspective and just understanding that consistency will generate the momentum that we're talking about, that'll really help you to get through those busy weeks and months. And then you'll look back and go, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did all that, because I can't imagine now. It's crazy. You just got to trust the process.
Yeah. Sometimes I look back on especially the days I used to be obsessed with working 18 or 19 hours a day, which is not sustainable for many years. But I look back and I'm like, wow, how did I do all that? But I mean, it's just, the momentum and the passion, when it gets going, you can't stop it, or you don't.
Yeah. And there's certain channels, there's certain cycles of our business where maybe it does require more of us than it does in other cycles. That's for sure too.
And I like how you mentioned just starting and taking action, because I've noticed the same thing. I've probably talked to 5,000 to 10,000 people, permanent makeup artists who, either they moved forward with my service or didn't, or maybe they took a couple years. But you're right. The longer it takes, what did you call that? The law of diminishing interest, or
the law of diminishing intent. It's really a real thing, because that resistance and that delay of us starting, oh man, it gets at you. And then you question yourself more, you doubt yourself more, you overanalyze more. So action is everything.
Yeah. And to me, it's it creates an internal conflict when I'm talking to someone, because I see the pattern. I'm like, okay, they're going to procrastinate, and it could take a turn for the worse. And in 2 years, they could be going out of business, which I've seen that plenty of times. And so I want to be a little bit pushy and encourage them, hey, you need to take action, but I also don't want to be a pushy salesman. And so I've always got to find that balance of, and I kind of judge it case by case.
Well, I think too that it's important for those that are even going into business or the beauty business, permanent makeup, to remember why you're doing it. If you're new to the industry or you're trying to grow, you've probably invested a tremendous amount in your education into opening your business, a lot of time, a lot of marketing effort, and so you owe it to yourself to double down right now and really make it work. For some people, they entered into this industry because maybe they wanted to make more with less days. So, say, for example, they want to work part time and make a great income. Some people wanted to go crazy and build empires. And some people just wanted to transition out of their job and be in business for themselves and just see what is going to happen. But I think it's important to have goals, to remember why you're doing it, because you're going to have days you don't feel like it. Especially with fear and doubt in your brain. And you got to go back and go, okay, this is why we're working through this right now. Just like this week, it's been one of the craziest months. We're opening another location in Scottsdale. Everything's chaos right now. We just hired 3 new staff members. It's insane. And I had to remind myself, this is why we're opening another location, before I lose my mind. So, and some people are what's called pull motivated, and some are push motivated. Pull motivated would mean that you're in it for the reward. Maybe Jake wants another Raptor. Maybe we have an investment goal, a retirement age goal, or you want to send your kids to a certain school. You want to buy a house somewhere or move, that kind of thing. That's pull motivators. There's also what's called push motivators. Maybe you have a crazy amount of debt that's hovering over you and it stresses you out and you need to get out of that debt. Maybe you have a loved one you're trying to care for. Maybe you had somebody in your life that told you at a young age that you could never make it. Or somebody where you're like, you know what, I'm going to prove them wrong and I'm going to go build something great and make a name for myself. Those were examples of push motivators. I think it's important to understand how you're motivated, because a lot of people will try to motivate themselves with external things that really deep down don't influence them. But really getting to, kind of like we talked about in the beginning, getting to know yourself, your values, your goals, what motivates you, how you're wired, what's important. Kind of like we talked about, the achiever, the focus, the futuristic. If you want to make an impact and give to others, it's important to get down to that stuff and kind of get deep, and it's going to help you get through those tough times where maybe you don't want to work as much or you're dealing with some conflict.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are sitting here looking at you, or maybe even me, and saying like, wow, they're on a different level. But honestly, like, I went through this last year where, we had a kid, I was very distracted, I kind of lost my momentum, and then I just got in kind of like a funk. And momentum goes both ways, good and bad. And so for a while, I was just like not doing as much as I know I could have been doing, and not making the impact that I really should. And so I had to like really retrain my mind and like really get back into it, this year. And so far it's great. I've got a lot of good momentum, and I've been taking massive action every day, and the momentum, I can just feel it building, and it's just a driving force.
Yeah, I mean, the little things that you can do to build yourself up. I try and make choices that I know are going to make myself feel better. If that's eating a healthier breakfast, if that's drinking more water. I hired a personal trainer this year, even though I'm so frugal that normally I would not hire a personal trainer 3 days a week. That's a big investment, but it's changed my life because I'm sitting hunched over doing treatments all day. I need to get strong. I need to feel good and be healthy. That's been a big game changer, or little things that, would really force you to feel good and be healthy and feel strong. So just kind of put yourself in a routine and get yourself around things that are going to help you progress. Watch your environment and watch, I know it sounds funny, but watch what you eat. Yep. It really makes a difference. Yeah. I had ice cream the other day, and I don't eat a lot of sugar anymore because it spikes my inflammation. I have very bad chronic pain, and it flared me so bad I couldn't get work done the other day. I'm like, that damn ice cream.
Yeah, I went keto, cut out sugar and most of the carbs last year, and I lost like 40 pounds, and I just have way more energy. I'm not. That's saying
incredible.
Keto, I'm not saying keto is the best for everyone, but it worked great for me, and I'm still doing it.
That's awesome. Yeah, low carb all the way.
So we've got a comment that says, what suggestions do you have for people who are doing multiple services like PMU, waxing, facials?
Recommendations for sales, or maybe they can clarify.
I'm not sure, but yeah, that's the first thing I thought of is, get somebody in the door however you can and then upsell them, cross sell them, make them a repeat customer.
Yeah, I mean, get them in there as often as you can. I mean, we even, like I mentioned before, we do a lot of body sculpting and skin tightening at our locations. And I would say a good percentage of our permanent makeup clients do body sculpting, and a good percentage of our body sculpting clients do permanent makeup. Yep. So I like to have very complementary services that we offer in the same locations. That way, the average customer spend goes up. They're always in your door.
I always laugh when I get these spas that contact me and they're like, here's our 20 services we want to promote and our budget's $10 a day. I'm like, well, let's focus on like the hook. Let's focus on the most, shiny object. That way you can get people in the door and then you can, show them your other 19 services.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. What would you say are the best like hook services that you've seen?
Brows are always good. Lips are becoming more popular, I think. Dermaplaning is one that I've seen, be a pretty good hook. Maybe the tiny tattoos, those are always a good little, we call them, in marketing, we call them trip wires. People trip over the wire and I don't know. I think it's a military reference.
That's awesome.
All right. So she commented and said, I have such an influx in waxing clients and facial clients, but it's overshadowing my PMU. Haven't been getting people to book PMU because so many are booking the services they see more of. So, I mean, I would promote PMU more, like, even if you don't have the before and after photos, do some educational content, do a frequently asked, question video, get one of your friends in to do their brows and then film that. What do you think, Amanda?
Yeah, I think another thing, because I think she alluded to the fact that she's not doing as much, so she's not able to promote it as much. Be very intentional going into your permanent makeup treatments where, say you need more content for permanent makeup, make sure you're having at least 5 to 10 different style of piece of content that you can take from that one PMU client. If that's a before and after photo, if that's a video pano, if it's a reaction video, if it's just brushing through the hairs at the very end of the treatment, if you spread that through your feed on Instagram, you can turn one client into multiple posts. And if you layer that with other clients, it'll look like, or it'll be that perception of you're doing more permanent makeup. And it adds a good variety of video that's very engaging.
Yeah, I love repurposing content, which is what you just described. Like, I'm going to do that with this. Like, this is on a Facebook group. I'm going to put it on my YouTube, Instagram TV. We're going to make clips, put it on stories. Like, it's going to go everywhere.
Yep, that's the best thing. It's efficient for your time because it sounds like you're doing a lot of treatments and you're probably really busy. So you don't want to spend a ton of time on social media.
Yeah. And I would argue, analyze what you're saying to those people in the chair. Like, when they're coming in for a facial or coming in for waxing, like, why aren't you upselling them to permanent makeup?
Yeah, and talk about it. I mean, when I'm working on a brow set, I'm talking all the time about how I just lost 2 inches in my arms with the body sculpting. And I show them my pictures and they're like, oh my gosh. And they always book.
Yep. So awesome. This has been a lot of content, even more than I expected. And I've known you're awesome for a while. It's our first interview together. So thank you so much. Do you have any closing thoughts for the audience?
No, I think that this is the year to double down.
Yeah. This
is the year to generate some momentum and be consistent, even with the small things. Like, not even a big thing, just get consistent with small things. Get clients in the door, if that's through paid ads, if you have it coming in organically. You can do it. It's a recipe. It's a formula. And all you have to do is carry it out and like we talked about, have an exceptional experience for your clients, make the perceived value of your services so high that they send everybody in your door and you will have a thriving business. So it's always fun talking about all of these things, but outside of marketing, you have to deliver during the treatment too.
Yeah. And I would say, to add on to that, not to extend the podcast anymore, this popped into my mind. It's something I've been doing with myself. I think a lot of times we set goals that are so big that, you got to have certain goals to challenge yourself, but I think a lot of times we set short-term goals that kind of overwhelm us. Like, I got to get 30 clients in the door this month, or, I got to run 3 miles on the treadmill. That's kind of what I said to myself. And then, I found myself procrastinating, not actually doing it, never never running. And so instead I'm trying something new this week. It's like, okay, I'm going to get on the treadmill for at least 5 minutes a day. Even if I'm dead tired, I can do 5 minutes. And then obviously with the momentum, like we mentioned earlier, that usually causes me to do at least like 20 minutes. But even with marketing, say like, okay, I'm going to get 3 new happy clients in this month. And if you get 15 clients or 30 clients, I'm sure you'll be happy, but you're not setting that deadline or goal that's going to really crush your spirit too soon.
I love that. And it's trackable and it compounds on itself. Like you said, there's a really good book that if you're listening and you haven't read it, I probably read it once every 2 years. It's called The Compound Effect by Malcolm Gladwell. It's a very good book about the compounding of certain small habits in your life or your business. And it was just what Jake said. If you can take those little choices every day, it's transform your life. And I think even if you have a big goal, which is awesome, make sure you don't just have that big goal written down somewhere. I have a whiteboard that has my big goal, and then I break it down quarterly, monthly, weekly, and daily. So I know the tiny, tiny little daily thing that will result in that compound big goal later. But I think that adds to my aggressive patience too, right? Because I know it takes time.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining. If they want to follow you on Instagram, what's the best Instagram handle?
Yeah, it's Amanda Breuer Official, and Brewer is Breuer. I'm going to be posting more good content. I just finally hired a graphics assistant and editor. So I'll finally put all my video content out there. I haven't had time to post anything. So super appreciate you having me on, Jake. I think what you do and the value you add to your community is awesome, even outside of the marketing services you have. I mean, I see all my students, I see what they need, and this fulfills a lot of that void that a lot of people need with marketing and business strategy.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it. All right, guys, thanks for watching or listening, and we'll tune into the next one. All right, bye.